No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jet is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump, and this is Jose Galison. Today it's Saturday, January 25th, and we are going to get into some of the festivities, the latest, and then some of the oldest, too. So we're going to be touching on, today, the topics I got lined up for you guys today. I got the Antioch Accelerationist shooter. I mean, you guys can read the title, but, I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but BX has come out with some more information that, kind of backs up the claims we talked about tomorrow, so we'll go into that. Also going to talk about the Nova Festival. For those who don't recall what that is, that was on October 7th. That was where you got all the rave that was going on. So there was some new information that came out. Figured we'd talk about Yeakey because we didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday. So I had it already lined up, so fucking why not? And also, when I was digging into the Nova Festival thing, I realized, one of you guys let me know that there was another story to be had. So we'll go into that. Apparently, we're looking at Holocaust denial type laws in the future in Israel, and the timing of it is a little suspect. But it's nice to be here with you guys today. Let me know if I sound good, look good, all that stuff, because it's just me, one-man show today. So Austin is out for the week. I think he starts his vacation today. The reasons he wasn't here before this is he was getting ready for his vacation, but now he's on his vacation. He's out with his family. So, good for him. I hope he has fun. But yes, we won't be getting any Austin morning dumps for about a week. So he'll be back though. He'll be back, and we'll get back to the almost everyday morning dump dominance where we were at before. Right now it's just me. So all I can really give you guys is maybe like a 3 to 5 because I got a job, got a wife, got kids. But when you put us together, we can make a 5 to 7, but whatever. This is what we're working with for now. It is what it is. But it's good to be with you guys. Somnambulism. See, I'm getting good at that one. Somnambulism schism. That's what it is. Sup playas, sup tards from Doctori420. What's up, boys from Pistolero? Good morning from CSET. I don't even know the fuck you have a weird name. I'm sorry. Good morning, Jose Pikachu. I don't know where the Pikachu comes from, but cool. Good morning. So yeah, it's good to be with you guys. It's good to see you all in the chat. More, I'm sure, will be showing up shortly. While we wait, he says you have a weird. I do have a weird name. It's made up. I've told you guys this many times. Just I try to be honest. It's a made up name. I'm honest about my lies. Okay. So yes, I do have a weird name. It's made up. One of these days, I'm at this point in my life too where I'm like, I may as well just tell you guys it. When I started, I was active duty military, and I just was like it was weird. So far as the rules about like getting in trouble or not, it was like dicey. So that's why I was like, I'll just use a made up name. My logic was I would use the Alex Jones argument if I ever got in trouble at work way back when. And Galison is not my real name. Jose Galison is not my real name. It is not. So Jose isn't your real name. I've been telling you guys this. I mean, maybe I've been around for 400 plus episodes. It's never been a lie. So it's been from the start, even when it was like, when I was active duty military, it was like, hey, there's a made up name. Like, so it's been a made up name from the jump. But yeah, I was active duty military way back in the day, and yeah, with the rules or as far as public affairs, I just didn't want to get in trouble. So I just figured, hey, make up a name. I also figured it's great so far as like doxing and stuff. I mean, people still can do it, obviously. But yeah, it's a made up name. It's a made up name. But one of these days, I probably ought to just dox myself because I'm at a point in life where I have like I'm no longer active duty military. My life has changed so much where now like I feel like it's uncouth to talk about the money that I make from this, but I don't make like a ton, but I make like it boosts. But then I also have my other gig that I got going on. But I'm like a part-time guy. So like the only like real quote unquote real job I have that would be under any sort of threat if I were to be doxxed, if my real name was out there, is like a part-time kind of like a grunt work job. So it's like okay, whatever. I mean, like, yeah, I'd prefer not to. I'd prefer not to have like get doxxed and have people calling my employer or whatever, but I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Whereas before it was like, yeah, when I first started, it was like I was active duty military. That's pretty much all I had going on. And like, if that had fallen apart, like it was like I would just be fucked. I'd have no way to provide for my family at that point in time. So been able to transition it over the years. Things have changed. So yeah, I mean, maybe in the not so far future, I'll give you my real name. But even then, it's like, why? Why do you give me my real name? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like as many crazies are out there in the world. Like, why make it that much easier for people to dox me? I mean, even though I'll be honest, I'm not very good at OPSEC. So like anyone who really wanted to dox me, it'd be pretty easy. But really, the main thing was like the Alex Jones argument. I really thought that like if I got in trouble at work, like way back when, that I could like be like, oh, that's my character, not me. Which, for those who aren't aware, Alex Jones, in one of the numerous legal trials he went through, that was his legal argument at one point, was that that was Alex Jones the character and not Alex Jones the person. So I was like, if you use a pseudonym, that's even easier. You're like, that's not even me. That's just some character I play on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So what? He said that. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's the way I look at it. So who the fuck did I send that birthday cake then from Pistolero? Yeah, make it as hard for the Jays as possible. And that Inquisitor said, yeah, it's the internet. It's all fake and gay. Your real name is important. Exactly. I mean, maybe one day. One of these days, honestly, the way I want, it's like, I just want to get to the point to where it doesn't matter. And then some idiot doxes me and I'm like, okay. Like, whatever. Like, okay, call my non-existent employer. Because at that point, hopefully I would be my own employer entirely. So I'm getting there. I'm getting close. So, but yeah, let's, I kind of rambled a little bit there. But guys, let's do a little bit of paying the bills and just kind of like, I don't know, a little bit stalling while we wait for people to roll into the chat. I do want to remind you guys that today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Ado Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn irritation, those ingrown hairs caused by those multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You don't need any expensive bullshit. You can shave just like your grandpa used to, whether you're shaving your whole face or edging up your beard. The single blades give you a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue includes one traditional safety razor and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. Now, for most people, that'll cut it. If anything, it'll cut you for way longer than a year. Like the estimate's $75 for a year. That's what you get for that $75 there. Let's be real, most people's going to last a lot longer. I've barely put a dent in mine. But if you are someone who shaves every single day, it probably won't cut it for you. At least if you want to keep really nice, sharp blades all the time. But, I mean, if you do want to keep them nice, then I would consider, again, the Quarter Shave Club. If you are a daily shaver, that's going to be what you want. The Quarter Shave Club puts you at about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got 3-in-1 body hair and face soaps, and then shave lathers as well. Highly recommend this company. It's a great product. It's a better shave than you get from the expensive nonsense, and it is a cheaper shave. And it's also the COVID mandate refusing company. This company was born in refusing the mandate. They support your values. They don't hate you. So this is a company with a better product, a cheaper product that doesn't hate you. It's kind of a no-brainer. Use code Jose for 10% off your entire order and let them know I send you. So that way we can keep this circle going. But yeah, guys, for real though, really great product. But let's go ahead and get back into the chat, and then we'll start getting into some content. Dr. Tori says, I could send this on Twitter because I'm suspended until Sunday. I couldn't. Justice, oh, well, this works out. I'm a little light on content today, and I have plenty of time. I think I told you guys this yesterday. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I am literally till Monday home alone, basically. I mean, I have plenty on my honey-do list of shit I need to get done. But I also, like, when you're literally the only person and you're used to, like, dealing with the hustle and bustle of, like, you and another woman, like, and you and your wife who works regularly, and your kids who always have somewhere to be, and blah, 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 and then now, like, no one's here for, like, 3 or 4 days. Well, I have so much free time. I have plenty of time to stream and still get a ton of my honeydew shit done. But anyways, my wife and kids are out. They went up to Virginia, I think. Yeah, Virginia. I told you guys about this a while ago. My mother-in-law died, so they're just now doing the funeral. They're going. I would have gone with them, but somebody's got to stay back and take care of the kitties. So that's me. And then I got to stick around with y'all and shoot the shit with you. But with that, I had plenty of time. And I was a little short on content today. So this works out that you're sending this over, Dr. Orfaccioni. We'll probably cover this here in a second. I'll hunt it down real quick. That way I don't lose it. All right, cool. We have it sitting in the wings. We'll come back to that one in a bit. Honeydew list maxing, Seminole Messenger said, yeah. You know what made it worse though is I told you guys yesterday. Literally, I don't know what it was yesterday. It's still fucking me up. Like I slept wrong, and I got like a crazy crick in my back, and like, dude, like I move wrong, and I'll be like, my breath gets taken away. I'm like it's like I feel like an old man. There's been a couple times I've been stuck on the floor since. So like literally the moment my wife left me, I've just been like an invalid, like kind of creeping around the house like an old man with a bad back. I don't know. So that's it. I'm a little bit concerned I'm going to move wrong and just be stuck on the floor till my wife gets home. But so either way, my point being is that's obstructing my honeydew list maxing. That's the only thing that the streams, no, the me not being able to move properly, that does make it a little bit hard. I would recommend not getting old, guys. It's not fun. But at the same time, it's kind of cool seeing my kids get older. So that's nice. They are, and I mean, now that I think about it, I had kids really young. So if I was dealing with this and they were younger, man, this would be rough. So, man, I guess I'm glad I had my kids young. I would hate to go by a name that's not mine, but Jose is an actual name at least, so it's not cringe, Tom33 says. I guess, I mean, a little bit of behind the scenes of this name. This name was actually my original Facebook alt forever ago, back in the crazy days of Facebook. Like when it was like back in when that weird time where like at least my impression was a lot of people were still using it. Like a lot of like, I don't know, people like us were still using it. And then that's when the censorship creeped in around 2020, and then a lot of us bounced. That was at that time I stuck around for a while, and I made an alt at one point because I was like, I didn't want to lose my main account because it was like I don't know, I have like my wife, like pictures of my kids, my wife, like it's kind of like a family thing, you know what I mean? Like it's the one which ironically I don't think I've used in years, so I guess it doesn't matter. But either way, I made an alt because I didn't want to lose all that, and I just like made like up an Hispanic name, and this was it. So that's how I was born. There was no deep thought in it. I know, like, I guess when you hear pseudonyms, usually there's something like, I don't know, a Thomas 777 or I don't, I'm trying to think of ones that come off the top of my head. Usually pseudonyms are a little more clearly pseudonymish. But yes, sometimes I forgot the intro. All right, guys, we've been riffing too much. I've been shooting the shit with the audience. We're not the audience, but yes, the audience, but the chat a little bit too much. Let's go ahead and get into some actual content from the day. For the day, we have something from one of you guys. What the hell? Yeakey in Spanish means piss. Said that. Okay, I don't know what the hell that has to do with anything. All right, sorry. I thought that may have had some relative to my related to my made up name, but it did not. All right, here is one shared from one of you guys from Rage Child. I do want to remind you guys, if there is content you guys want me to cover, you guys can just tag me in Twitter, and I most of the time will, unless I just like don't even get why you want me to cover it. But for the most part, I'm not retarded, and I'll figure it out. Yes, this is from the Rage Child. He sends over a lot of good stuff. Also, the Rumble chat, as we just did a minute ago. Me and Dr. Tori had an exchange, and I took an article, and we'll probably cover that, and we'll probably look over that in a little bit. You can do that. You can send articles over in the Rumble chat as well. I don't think YouTube works for that, because I'm pretty sure they like shadow ban any links like almost immediately. So sorry, all the more reason to go to Rumble. Rumble's better. I'm sorry. But anyways, just in, the Sackler family and the bankrupt drug maker they own, Purdue Pharma, have struck a $7.4 billion agreement to settle mass opioid litigation. Okay. I mean, once again, this is because you guys should. I don't have much thoughts on this. If anything, these are one of the topics I'm probably a little bit torn on. And if I was to have a deeper, really any thoughts on it, I'd probably really need to look into it. I know a lot of people have really do hate the Sackler family or for the opioids and the opioid crisis. I don't know the ins and outs, so I don't know to what degree they've been honest and forthcoming. I mean, when you do have a new drug, I mean, opioids also are really great. And this is I've how do I put this? I've told you guys this before. I had an opiate problem when I was like 17. Luckily, like I cleaned up, and I definitely was addicted at one point. There was a time where if I didn't have pills, I would be sick. I would be pill sick. So like I understand the addiction that comes with opioids, but I've also known people in pain, and I've been in pain and used opioids, and I know to what degree those are useful. And so I don't know. The fact that something can be abused doesn't mean necessarily it should be. I don't know. It's kind of a complicated subject, because I do think it's an important drug that exists. And maybe you could argue there's better versions or whatever. It's the same thing with fentanyl. Fentanyl is like a miracle drug. You can use such a small amount, but on the flip side, it's also rife for abuse. So I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion when it comes to Sackler family. I mean, and to what degree I would believe this is righteous or not. I'd need like a historical grip on the rollout of opioids. To what degree the Sackler family is being forthcoming along. So like the point being is like, to what degree can they really be held liable for damages done? I don't know. It's a complicated question that I don't really know the answer to. And I know a lot of people have strong opinions on it. I don't. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. I don't know when they started with the opioids. I would assume that, if anything, I would lean towards they likely were doing things wrong. Because, I mean, just considering how long opioids is around, and obviously it would not behoove them to be forthcoming about negative information about opioids. So yeah, I mean, there might be something to that, but I'm not willing to just off a knee-jerk, ignorant perspective really say anything particular about this, because I don't know. I mean, this could be an injustice for all I fucking know. But all right, that's just that. That's from Rage Child. Now we have coming up next, here's BX. We're talking about the school shooting and how it's linked to acceleration, like we talk about tomorrow. Let's pop into the chat real quick, though, before we get into that. I see some people agreeing with me that you do like opioids. Yeah, opioids are great. I'll be honest. You gotta stay away from them, though. They are a problem if you are addictive. They are lots of fun. And I will say probably one of the things that really helped me the best to be like, ew, that's gross, is hang out with a pillhead once. Not be on pills one time. Especially out there, if you out there are dealing with an opioid problem, if you are just one time, I know it might be hard, especially when you're with friends. A lot of times it is a group activity, and you are like, oh, he's doing pills, I want to do pills. That'd be fun. Like, we'll crush one up, we'll snort it together. Just make up some reason why you can't, and just hang out with them and don't do drugs one time. I know this is like, it's almost not going to happen because it's fiend behavior to where you may tell yourself you're going to do this, but you're going to end up doing that pill. But let's say you somehow get the strength of will not to. Just hang out with your buddy, your best friend in the world that you hang out with all the time and do pills with or whatever. Just hang out with them once. Just once when you're sober, and realize how much you fucking hate him. Like, that will do it for you. And then think about that, like, oh, I'm also under the sway of these drugs. What am I like when I'm on this? That is probably one of the best things for me when it came to pills, to be like, I need to stop this. I don't know. It gives you like a real false sense of confidence while being a really annoying fucking cunt. That's probably one of the best ways to put it, I would say. So you look at yourself when you're sober, or you, like if you saw a video of yourself, you're like, oh God, what a fucking asshole. But yeah, it's fun times. I mean, definitely a lot of fun times fucking around with pills back in the day, but I would not recommend them. Yeah, see, Dr. is saying, I love opioids, which is why I don't do them anymore. Exactly. Tommy said never touch them. Good thing. Stick around with them. So I'm an ex-junkie and think all drugs should be legalized. Me as well. I think literally every single fucking drug, and I mean down to prescription drugs. Even like if I wanted to, like right now with my back fucked up, like I'm probably about to be digging around my house to see if I have any leftover muscle relaxers in a little bit or whatever to deal with this fucking nerve pain I got going in my back. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just go to fucking Walgreens? Like I know that I just need like a light level like muscle relaxer. Like I don't want to get fucked up. Like the idea that I can't is ridiculous, and I think we should be able to. Like, don't get me wrong. I think in a free society, in a truly free society, there'd probably be establishments like say like Walgreens or something that would refuse to sell certain drugs just because of the liability that would be associated with them, and that's fine with me. And that kind of solves a lot of the problem that people would be like, oh, you'll have all these drugs on the shelves that anyone get. Like, okay, but like there's still an establishment that needs to sell them, and to some extent they're going to have to accept some level of liability. So they're probably, to keep a good name for their business, are likely not going to want to sell those sorts of things. Or have some sort of restrictions to where you say, okay, we do sell this item, but you need to go get a doctor's note or something, which I know is kind of in a certain way, a roundabout way, a prescription. but this is done in a free market manner and will work out a lot better. So that way you don't have a lot of the stupid things where you're like, why do I need a doctor's note for this? Oh, because it's the law. Whereas it could be just because someone is trying to do ethical business and doesn't want to besmirch their name, and so they require that you have to get a doctor's note. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The idea that like it has to be done through government strikes me as ridiculous. But yeah, I think all of them should be illegal. Tommy said, "Drink your mom's milk." They were a cog in a horrible machine. They stated it wouldn't be addictive. Doctors took their word when they should have known better. Never looked into it. Just profits overall mentality. Now, if they're making claims it's not addictive, then hell yeah, they are liable. In my opinion, that is a liability thing. But no, if you are selling a product that you're like, hey, this is horribly addictive, but it is a miracle drug when it comes to pain, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you are saying, here's a miracle drug with pain, and you say nothing about the addictive qualities, or even state the opposite, then yeah, you're kind of the baddie here, and you kind of might owe some people some fucking money because you damaged them due to your lies. Yeah, so I see P Tracer says it's a P Tracer 921. It's a fine line. I see patients with joint replacements that have an opioid allergy and do just as well on Tylenol as many of these opioids. That's another thing. I've heard that a lot too, that supposedly Tylenol, ibuprofen works just the same for a lot of people, if not supposedly all people. I've never experienced, that's not been my experience. I'll be honest, the times I've been hurt and taken some sort of opiate or drug along those lines for pain, it's pretty much always been way better than ibuprofen or Tylenol. I mean, and ibuprofen or Tylenol, like, I don't know, they're nice. They help a little bit. I don't know. But I guess, I don't know, I'm assuming you're probably some sort of doctor or something. You probably know better than I would, but I don't know. Yeah, he says, I got the main problem with opiates is they not only dull your physical pain, but they also dull the mental pain you're experiencing. Yes, that's true. Honestly, that's kind of the truth of a lot of drugs. I mean, even like things like weed or whatever, a lot of people do find that. I think a lot of people, or even things like masturbate, really just a lot of just any destructive behavior. A lot of times it is really just for that quick little dopamine boost to kind of distract you from whatever negative things are going on in your life. So, yeah, sorry, Walmart doesn't sell Kratom, proof of concept. See, that's exactly what it's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, sure, I can go to a gas station and get Kratom or get this or get a fucking whatever thing or Delta 8. And you're like, yeah, well, it's like there's something like an inborn, like, this is a little seedy. Whereas if you go to like a nicer establishment, it is what it is. So yeah. So, all right, let's yeah, I'd say there is more mental relief than physical one, says Arcane. Yeah. All right, let's get back into this. Let's get back into the Antioch school shooting stuff with BX. I talked about this a lot yesterday. If you're watching this and you didn't watch my stream yesterday, probably missing out on a little bit, but we kind of did fairly deep little coverage of him yesterday. But yes, the Solomon Henderson guy, he's kind of this like black, I guess, accelerationist. He ended up shooting one girl and wounding another, or killing one girl and wounding another in a school shooting. I think it was in Nashville. I'm assuming Antioch must be the name of the school. But yes, I mean, I'm assuming he probably meant to take out more. He shot himself as well. But there is the interesting component of this is there seems to be some connections to stuff that I've covered on the show in the past with accelerationism, Satanism, like the 764 type stuff, the 09, like that kind of like stuff. Like there's connections there, which we will get into right now. So she says few, that took a long time, mainly because of how big Solomon Henderson's online footprint was. In this thread, I'll try to give a concise breakdown of his link to the groups I've been researching for the past 2 years. TRGL, it wasn't Candace Owens, it wasn't Nick Fuentes, it was Satanists. Let me explain. For those who aren't aware, if you looked at his manifesto, we talked about this yesterday once again, in his inspirations part, he literally had like 100-page, like frequently asked questions manifesto. It was weird. But he, in there, at one point, his inspirations, he put like Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Destiny, some other like mainstream names and ones that weren't even like of a similar ideology. So it really, I mean, I'm telling you, of the amount I've dug into his manifesto and looked at little bits, and there is no clear ideology here. The only clear ideology is an ideology to offend. This is like a meme, Zoomer, troll, accelerationist, fucking behavior. That's what there isn't an actual. I mean, there is an ideology here, but what you are viewing when you see these manifestos or whatever is the ideology is to play off of whatever your ideology is. So like that's why it's like I'm going to bring up Destiny, but in the same breath, I'm also going to bring up Candace Owens, like as if they're somehow both similar for your ideological transformation, knowing full well that the left will go, oh, he said in his manifesto he was a follower of Destiny, and they go, or not Destiny, but of Candace Owens, and then you'll see the same exact thing on the flip side. So that's what he's doing. He's just trying to evoke a reaction, and honestly, it wasn't even really that well done from it. It's like that, like very over the top. It's like on the level of like childlike. Just like when a kid learns a bad word and they just say it over and over again, they're trying to evoke a reaction. Like a little kid when they say fuck and you laugh when they're like 1 or 2 and you're like, you can't say that, and you laugh and they go fuck and you're like, oh my god, it's so cute. They know they're laughing. You're laughing now. You can't help it. So now then when they keep saying fuck, they're trying to make their daddy laugh. That's the same, literally the same type of behavior. This is what this is. This is that he says nigger about like a bajillion times in this. He is trying to evoke reactions. All right, let's keep going. One recap: Solomon Henderson went by the X account Groidsell, and he was mutuals with Samantha Rupnow, the shooter from Madison last month. Both Henderson and Rupnow were connected to the 764/CALM and the Satanic Accelerationist group, the Order of Nine Angles. Many people, including myself, tried to warn authorities about Henderson's account and other accounts connected to Rupnow, as it was pretty obvious that they were likely planning attacks of their own. For all we know, the others are still out there doing just that. Okay. Groidsell. Okay. Oh, yep. See, there you go. This is, I don't know if you guys recall. I recall with the Samantha Rupnow one, there were like the multiple pictures of her, like the bathroom and stuff like that. And like, I don't know if it was Twitter or what it was, making posts and blah, blah. So here you see, you can even see here, it got ratios and a huge, so like clearly this went big, but, I think this is the Rupnow account. I'm assuming this postal brained. She probably should have included her at to kind of make it more clear. But I'm pretty sure what she's saying here is that is Samantha Rupnow in that post. Because, I mean, I recognize kind of the bathroom, the shoes, whatever. And then you see Groy saying, live stream it, replying to her there. And I believe that's the one of the docs. If I recall correctly, it's been a while since we dug into this one. I think that was the manifesto posted below it. And I think that was the one that she accidentally left on private, or whatever. I don't remember. It's been a while since we covered it. Honestly, it's probably only, what was this? How long ago was this? This was last month. Man, only a month ago. And it's already like been basically brain dumped. Man, this news cycle's crazy lately. All right, 2, TLDR. Henderson was a troll. He identified himself as a black anti-Semitic racist and a groiper and an incel. He blamed Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Destiny, Hassan Biker, and a ton of other people in a bogus manifesto. In reality, Henderson was influenced by satanic accelerationist groups which have had a heavy hand in the recent uptick in stabbings and shootings across the globe. This is not a conspiracy, it's real, and literally every Western country has acknowledged it. 764 is designated as a Tier 1 terror threat in the U.S. Look it up. Just because you haven't heard about it doesn't mean it isn't real. You can also watch my part 2 video in my pinned tweet thread to learn more. So she's kind of tight. I mean, we've done it once again to remind you guys, I literally have a playlist of 76409A stuff, so go check that out. I mean, this was like, we covered it when it was still fairly early. I want to say there's like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in there, a couple when it was like first kind of popping off. And then we did one where we kind of went to like the ideology sort of like 09A and 764 with William Ramsey, who's been on the show quite a few times. Great guest. So, I mean, I do recommend that if you want to kind of get a start, get a grip of it. Obviously, I would recommend go checking out BX's content as well. You can also dig into Ken Silva. You can dig into some of his headline. Go into headline news. You can probably type in the search bar like 764 or something, and you'll probably find a slew of articles written by Ken Silva. So if that's the route you want to go, whichever works best for you, different strokes, different folks, whether you're going to go find her well-produced videos or my interviews with her and Ken, or go look at Ken's, or all of them, whatever works better for you, go check them out and you kind of get a better grip of it. All right. Part 3, the manifesto. The majority of Henderson's manifesto was copy/pasted from other people's writings. Large portions my back. Came from Peyton Gendron and Brenton Tarrant, including the portion about Candace Owens. That part is plagiarized and therefore fake. Okay, so this is literally just copied and pasted. He also copied heavily from Telegram publications like Hard Reset, Matthew Harris's Death Sentences, which supposedly uses the N-word in all caps nearly 1,000 times, and reference other satanic terror groups like MKU and NLM throughout. Refer to my Part 4 video in my pinned tweet thread for more details on all this stuff. There's a lot of other crap in this bogus manifesto, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's very fake and gay. The full details are in my Substack article linked at the end of the thread. Part 4, the Element Diary. Henderson had another document, a diary copied and pasted from his Element account, which contained more genuine content. He described living with an abusive mother, struggling with mental health, and growing to hate humanity. There are many references to satanic accelerationism in the diary, including to 764, No Lives Matter, MKU, and certain gross online communities like Skibbity Farms and other pedophile-ridden hellholes. Just to recap, once again, for those who don't know what 764 is particularly, this is, and I'm not even actually, I don't know what degree Groid Cell is involved in the activities that 764 is known for, but 764 thing is they will literally like manipulate young girls into harming themselves, providing sexual content, and will continue to manipulate and use the content that they've already gotten from them to continue to cause them to spiral and do more and more and more harmful things, essentially blackmailing them with it. Essentially, it's a kind of like a harm/porn blackmail network for children, which is wild, really fucking gross. And they find them on all these like kiddie type fucking places the kids like to hang out, like Roblox or wherever the fuck the kids hang out these days. Very prominently, his diary features his obsession with a satanic individual named Libero Flove. She said more on that later. There also was an entry where Henderson said, "My sister has a Discord. It's over. I have to commit the attack. She's 100% gonna get groomed." Oof. Well, that's terrifying. Like, I don't know what that... Okay, geez. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, obviously it's just one sentence, but I don't know if the implication there is that, like, now his sister is on there and he knows the people he associates with are going to be aware and going to target her. I don't know. I mean, I don't really even know enough about Discord to really even know that'd be a thing you could do. I don't know. But that is... The implications that are a little bit... pretty awful, almost implying that like I have to commit the attack. Almost like I don't know how the attack would prevent that. I don't know. I mean, weird. Okay, this is a somber indicator that Henderson may have been involved in and even possibly been a victim of grooming and extortion networks like Common 764. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting. This is one thing. I think I talked about this a little bit when I went on Tinfoil Hat with Sam, which still not out. It should be out like, I don't know, I believe the early next week, I think. But this is one thing I brought up about 764 is that one of the kind of more messed up parts of it is it's like a hurt people thing. Like, so a lot of these, like this kid is 17. Like this didn't just happen. So the point, likely, if he's hanging out with these groups, I mean, just we can surmise from the groups that he's hanging out with, he's talking about the grooming, the 764, this stuff. I mean, we can surmise this didn't just happen. Like, he likely, if I had to guess, probably was starting this anywhere from like 12 to 14 and likely was a target himself. And now he's repeating the cycle. So, pretty fucked up, pretty sad. I mean, it's in a certain sense hard to feel bad for these people, but at the same time, it is also like, I don't know, it's this vicious cycle that just at some point we need to find a way to stop it. So yeah, here's pieces from Hit. I don't know what this is. I mean, these are, I don't know what this is. It's just weird little images from it. I believe this is the Libero Flove character that they're talking about. I'm assuming the 333 is him, because I think he's Groid Cell 333, right? No, I'm wrong there. Okay, well, I don't know which character he's supposed to be. Yeah, this is weird. It says, "I don't think I can kill my family. I know I will get more. I don't know, guys. DNB is awesome, but I can't maybe shoot up Black Elementary School. Maybe I should get dreads. I could look a Black emo Salvador Ramos." And he says, Libero Flove again, in like a fancy little like font that says, "I need to work on manifestos and spreadsheet." For listeners, there's these little like cutesy little, I believe they're actually called chibi, I think is the type of art that is. It's like an anime style art where it's cutesy. I used to, when my little kids were little, we used to doodle And I got pretty good at doing these type of little arts because me and my kids would do them and they're cute. And they were called like chibi, so I could always like look up like little chibi art. And just, fun fact out there for people with little kids, if you want to get into doodling with them, easy to do. And this isn't really hard doodling, and it's really cute. So if you got like a little girl or something, it's adorable. But anyways, this is an inversion of that. Obviously, this is fucked up, but and it's kind of a weird little homage to this character Libero Fluff that he seems to have a thing for or whatever. This is bizarre. And then here's another picture. Eat, sleep, extort, LOL, it says Happy New Year. I'm going to cut my hair and shave. Starts on January 8th. These are just clips from stuff he had. Since 17th, I'm going to buy razor blades along with other gear. Because exams, we get at 1040, which is enough to buy more materials. Here's a No Lives Matter insignia. I hope I don't have until a year. I don't want to go to graduation at my shitty school. They need to DIE now. Fuck my parents and my family. They never cared about me anyway. Total human death. This fucking high school experience in fucking nutshell. Okay. All right. Part 5, Discord servers. It turns out I was in a Discord server with Henderson too. He had only made a few posts a few days before the shooting. First posting an archive of Rupnow's content, then posting an MKU video edit. All right, I need to take a second. I want to pop to you guys' chat anyways. It's been a minute. I don't want to get lost in the chat. It's been too long. Let's see what you all have to say, and then we'll continue this. All right, does increased talk of accelerationism lead to more accelerationism? Or is it worth it to make the adults aware so they can possibly prevent it? I mean, that is an interesting question and a thought I've had myself as well. I mean, to some extent, it is like because it is this like troll behavior. Like to some extent, the freaking out of it is what continues it. But I would say, I mean, in a certain sense, yes. But I think the knowledge of it kind of takes away the power. It's how do I put this? Like once you're aware that the behavior, a lot of this behavior is intentional, like the accelerationism stuff is intentional to get you off your rocker, to throw you off, to evoke a reaction, then it makes it so that you are in more control of your behavior, if that makes sense, so that you are aware that you are being manipulated to get a reaction out of you. So you're less likely to get said reaction, so we can have a more somber analysis. So essentially, like my opinion, it seems like this failed. I mean, I don't know, and this is kind of in this context, like the intention, like you look at the manifesto and all the weird shit it said. I mean, maybe I'm not really that plugged in and I'm not seeing it right, but I have not seen a ton of partisan discussion on this. But I think it might also because he only racked up one death, which is kind of a disgusting way to look at it, but it is kind of true. I think maybe from a news standpoint, he just really did not do enough damage to make it big enough. So maybe this would have worked if this went bigger. I don't know. Like, say this guy like had been successful in like mowing down like a elementary school or something. Would there be these online talking heads that would be playing these stupid fucking games right now, even despite it being so fucking obvious? Like literally within his like frequently asked question of like inspirations, within the same paragraph, the same sentences sometimes, it was mentioning these opposing ideological figures. And ones that were like known for being offensive or offending the other side. So these are ones that like you would intentionally throw out to offend, but it was so obvious that I don't know. I struggle to believe even then that would really work, but I might be wrong. But let's say that is even the case. I think just having more knowledge of this sort of stuff makes us. It's kind of the same idea when it comes to like psyops. If you're more aware of psyops, it makes you less able to be manipulated by them. And it's kind of the same idea. They're just trying to manipulate us with these stupid manifestos. Now, some of the darker activities they have, now does talking about them more lead to more of them? I don't know. I would think more knowledge of them would actually make parents be more on the guard and maybe law enforcement and other entities be more looking out for these sorts of things. So I think awareness is helpful. I mean, it is definitely something I've thought about, that like part of this is, especially since a lot of this is behavior that's meant to evoke behavior. So some of it, like it feeds off of other stuff. I think if we did have, let's say this did like boom in like the BoomerCon fucking like thing, and they didn't know all the ins and outs of Accelerate. Say they just like looked in, like it would. Well, actually, even then they're not talking about accelerationism, so that takes away from my point. No, I don't know. I don't think I'd agree with it. I think more talk of acceleration does not lead to more of it. I think it actually likely, kind of takes away its power. All right, good morning, Ashley here. I think change repeat. Yeah, what's up? From Ashley from the Union of the Unknown, I think, right? Yeah. Good show. Checking through chat. Bruh, I titled my bathroom walls, tiled. Now my phone doesn't get reception. I cannot watch the morning dump during a morning dump. Oof. Yeah. So, all right. Once you realize someone's trying to make you mad, it's almost calming. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's the idea that like once you realize the behavior, what the purpose of the behavior is, it can't really work on you because the illusion's gone. All right. Let's pop back in here. Okay. The Discord server contained people affiliated with 764 and other nasty comm groups. They all started panicking after the shooting and were deleting comments, privating channels like crazy as I watch. Then they coordinated a spamming campaign to pin the blame on Encyclopedia Dramatic and Kiwi Farms. Okay. All right. That's wild. So she was literally in this fucking Discord thing watching them delete shit. Okay. Sorry, I got a little quiet there. Dead space isn't great, but I was just processing some of that. Then they coordinated a spamming campaign. Okay, in a message sent just 3 days prior to the attack, Henderson posted an image of a cartoon man in a hockey mask next to Drill Sergeant Gray, a common Temple of Blood icon, along with a Toten Nation logo, note the pedophilia symbols, and a voice message that said, "Attacking my school for 764 and MKY." All right, let's listen to this.
Attacking my school for 764 and MKY. 764.
I mean, I will say that doesn't sound like his voice, but it's a voice message is what it says. So I'm assuming it's some sort of like, robot voice type thing that just reads what you tell it to say. But that's all right. And it's from Rupnow Groiper. Okay. 6, the social media accounts. Henderson had a massive social media footprint with accounts on nearly every social media site. He used his new X account, Ending Point, to advertise his manifesto and his kickstream. The people he followed X confirmed he had extensive connections in satanic accelerationist circles. He attempted to live stream his shooting on Kick, but wrote in his diary that he couldn't afford a GoPro and would have to try to stream from his phone. The screen was black the majority of the time, aside from the final frame. You know what I just realized as I was thinking about? Obviously, we have no idea if this is the case. I'm still like haunted by that one sentence about his sister. I'm like, was this really like just carried out to prevent that? Because now the more that I'm thinking, I'm like, how does this lead to his sister not being... But, I mean, this would be a way out for him to still be able to keep the appearance of being like a 764 guy or whatever the fuck. Whatever his goal is so far as the forward-facing, looking cool. And, he might be able to also end his issues. Because, I think he probably is obviously a very tormented guy. And probably save his sister. Because I would assume... Maybe the idea is he just assumes the shit will come out in the aftermath. And then this will, like... essentially keep his kid, and also I think would probably keep his friends from wanting to have anything to do with his sister, because why would you want to then now associate with anyone related to this kid? I don't know, it's just kind of messed up. That one sentence just really still fuck with me. Like, it almost implies that this was like I need to carry this out so that nothing happens to my sister. Oof, I don't know, that's still fucking with me. All right. He attempted to do live stream his shooting on Kick, but wrote in his diary that he couldn't afford a GoPro and would have to try to stream from his phone. Oh, excellent. I already read that. My bad. On Blue Sky, his username was Victim of MKU. Okay, once again, leading into the fact that he was a victim as well. On the account, Henderson posted even more references to Libero Flove, NKU/NLM, and 764. His YouTube bio read, Total Human Death, Free Slain, Free Tobbs, Rest in Peace, Samantha Rupnow. I did it for the lulz. Slain and Tobes are both MKU-linked stabbers, and Total Human Death is a slogan adopted by MKU as well. All right, 7. What the fuck is happening? The evidence found in Harris's online footprint was overwhelming. This was a satanic acceleration-inspired shooting all the way. Simply put, there are a ton of fringe websites and communities centered around violence, child abuse content, gore, and other awful things. They drape themselves in memes and irony to distract people from how awful they are. Satanic accelerationists infiltrate these communities, target the most mentally ill members, and convince them to commit mass shootings and other horrific acts. They also formed new groups infused with 09A aesthetics with those of the old group. That's how we ended up with Noctulian SpongeBob and My Little Pony altars. Ew. All right, as for Henderson, it seems he experienced a lot of grief and self-loathing about being black. This was definitely a motivating factor. He was also involved in a number of radical online subcultures influenced by satanic accelerationism, which led him to embrace misanthropy and dehumanize people. His ties to communities which glorify mass shooters led him to a point of obsession. He hoped that committing a mass shooting of his own would allow him to live up to his idols. However, he turned the gun on himself after killing only one person, Jocelyn Escalante. Perhaps he realized in the moment what he had done, panicked, and chose not to continue his rampage. Many such cases. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe this was a girl he had an issue with. Once again, to my the idea about that one sentence is fuck with me. I'm like, if that maybe it really was just like maybe he just did the one and was like, I don't need to do anymore. That's all I need to do to save my sister. I don't know. I'm not trying to sympathize with this kid, but I don't know. It's fucked up. Especially when you know these are like children that most of the time have been abused themselves. It's like, I don't know. Just it makes you wish someone was there for them in their lives. So I don't know. Parents out there, just make sure you're taking care of your kids because this is what happens when you don't. All right. Who's to blame? For part 8. While some individuals panicked and privated, other groups attempted to take credit. An NLM account sent me messages claiming responsibility and warning of more attacks to come. Temple of Bob, an irony-laced satirical Nexion of 09A that features a Noctulian SpongeBob character, claimed that they created Henderson during a Noctulian nigerification ritual for the dark gods. God, I gotta give them a little bit. They are at least a little funny. This is fucked up shit, but like so far, we read some of the manifesto. It's hard not to laugh. Noctulian nigerification ritual for the dark gods. Come on, that's funny. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it is just on its face. If you just said that in a sentence, just talking, you'd be like, "What the fuck did you say?" It's hard not to laugh. This is what they do. They cloak themselves in like goofiness and irony and like all this. So yeah. Of course, this group is only meant to troll and confuse onlookers. But of all the influences emphasized by Henderson, only Libero Fluff, the satanic accelerationist with obvious links to Temple of Blood, had direct contact with him in the days or weeks prior to the shooting. Okay, so this Libero Fluff was not, apparently, I guess, was an actual person. I was thinking maybe it was another one of those just kind of like some sort of mascot or even like a made up character or something like that. So kind of like the little hockey mask character who's supposed to be like a Temple of Blood mascot sort of. That's kind of what I assumed that was, but I guess the implication here is that it's more than that. Earlier this morning, Libero Fluff privated his Twitter. So yeah, it is Libero Fluff 333. Only Libero Fluff. All right, never mind. Sorry, excellent. Police just took all my tech besides my phone. Fuck my life. Fingers crossed this really happened. This guy sent some really nasty threats in the past. Okay, so assuming that's the case, then maybe the feds are on this. Because it looks like this guy was, at the very least, super linked up. This is the one that he's obsessed with. So yeah, you can see the tweet right there that says, he's locked down. Police just took all my tech besides my phone. Fuck my life. She says lots of words, finishing up from BX. But if you want any more words, rich, expressive detail, and way in more depth analysis of what I found during this dive, please consider subscribing to my Substack. Thank you for support, and please hold your family close tonight. So if you guys want to look into this more, she does have a Substack, so you can go look her up online and go find this thread. But it's substack.com/pub/bxrights. So you can find all her stuff there. Let's pop back in the chat. It's been a minute. Let's see what y'all have to say. Good morning from Tyler. Good morning. Z-Man is awesome. What's up, everybody? Shout out Jose Galison, king of the chicken washers. Hell yeah, dude. For sure there's a 3-letter organization behind this, says Z-Man. Perhaps. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's definitely not something I would assert. I would say, I've done a lot of digging into this, and once again, I cannot recommend enough to go look into my prior work on the coverage of this. It's one of two things. There is definitely glowiness here. Now, the difference is, do you want to think that it's still currently a direct hand of glowiness occurring in the sense that they are literally reaching in, or is this a runaway glowy thing? Because I'm torn between the two, or maybe it's some combination of the two. But it's very clear, at the very least, the latter is at least still the case. It's just a matter of whether there are still individuals who still are playing glowy games and in here. My point being is that this seems to be born. When you follow, like, as we use the word Nexion, like Nexion is essentially an offshoot of like an O9A group, which a lot of times takes on different forms, which can be like a 764. But when you look into O9A, the kind of like the parent group or whatever, it glows brighter than the sun. That thing is glowy as shit. So my point being is that like this is, and this is something that William Ramsey's covered a bunch as well. If you start digging into their doctrines, you get a better idea of what's going on. It's almost as if the feds created some entity with some sort of ideology, and that ideology kind of perpetrated, essentially, is what I'm saying. So then, groups offshooted from there, and maybe some of them have some sort of, direct hand fed control and some don't. So, but at the end of the day, it's kind of an idea run amok. So anyways, here he goes. The Sutter connection absolutely makes it a Fed started fire, but I think they've lost control because they don't understand the internet. Yeah, Dr. Ori just said basically what I said, but in a less retarded way. Yep, Sutter connection makes it a Fed started fire, but I think they've lost control because they don't understand the internet. And not even just Sutter. There's other stuff as well that gives that, but Sutter is probably the best example. But yeah. All right, guys, let's get into some more content. What is this one? All right, here's about the Nova. God, what was it? Sorry, my back was acting up again. The Nova Festival. Which is we talked about this earlier. The Nova Festival was the festival that occurred on October 7th. So the rave was going on, a bunch of people died, blah, 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 blah. But yes, exclusive. Despite IDF warning of rocket strike, Nova party not shut down. New information revealed. On the night before the October 7th Hamas massacre, an IDF intelligence unit collected signs of preparation for a rocket fire on Israel. So this is the night before October 7th. The unit also observed unusual activity of the Hamas aerial force that could indicate a transition of the terror group to emergency mode. Enet and its sister publication Yeditoth Aeronaut learned. These indications, especially the possible rocket fire and others gathered, were discussed in IDF consultations in the following hours, but did not bring about a decision to raise the alarm over a possible Hamas assault or to any significant steps being taken. This information was included in documents reviewed by senior government and security officials and presented in their arguments for the resignation of Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi. By the way, this is Yenet News, so just to throw out credit to these guys. Contrary to earlier reporting, the IDF not only estimated that Hamas was preparing for a military exercise or to defend against a possible Israeli attack, but had seriously considered the possibility that the terror group was about to launch an assault on Israel. All right. Fuck, man. So I guess there was earlier reporting where the said otherwise, but no, apparently they are straight up saying that during these talks, the IDF, estimated that Hamas was preparing for a military exercise or defend against attack, but they had seriously considered the possibility that that terrorist group was about to launch a attack on them. Despite that, the IDF decided on a limited number of actions. Amid calming indications and a wide consensus across the military and intelligence, the IDF opted to avoid exposing sensitive intelligence sources rather than preparedness. So this was to protect sources. It was why they didn't give out. Yeah. All right. Anyways, these revelations expose a central and dramatic aspect of that night. A participant in recent consultations on the matter defined them a nuclear bomb. Since the massacre, other indications that the intelligence had came to light, including the use of Israeli SIM cards and the deployment of emergency assets in the Strip used in the 2021 conflict 2 years earlier. But the preparation to launch a rocket attack were a worrying sign on its own, and more so when it is added to other concerning indications. The military is continuing its review and inquiries into the failings on that night. A person present in conversations about those inquiring said a senior officer had asked why there were no steps taken to prepare for a rocket attack, including moving the thousands of people from the Nova Music Festival grounds near the border where there were not enough shelters to protect against a rocket and mortar strike. There's also a question of whether instructions were given. such as launching an intelligence flight over Gaza, were carried out. At 2 a.m., the Air Force Duty Command Center was notified about the unusual activity in the Hamas aerial units. At the same time, more indications of preparations for a rocket strike were received. All that information was discussed in a call that Yaron Finkelman, the chief of the Southern Command, held with other senior officers, Shin Bet representatives, and a representative of the Air Force. Their evaluation, written in simple terms, read, "Unusual activity was identified." Finkelman said that there were three possibilities, the third being an assault. As EZNet reported last November, Finkelman gave a series of orders, but all were to be carried out while protecting sources and were to prevent Hamas from realizing Israel was aware of its unusual activities and to avoid miscalculations. An official close to the government said the Southern Command was aware of the Nova Festival and had given the organizers the license for it. If the information not about the assault but about possible rocket fire not meet the standards to stop the party, what would have? So yeah, I mean, like there was possible rocket fire and they chose not to stop the fire. All right. Protecting sources was prioritized, said a senior officer. I mean, really, to begin with, it's weird that they're doing raves right on the border right there. Like you would assume that's just like, that's not the safest place to be doing shit like that. All right. Protecting sources was prioritized, said a senior officer, to explain the gap between the general consensus that there was low probability of an assault and the indications in the report. If someone would have thought there was really a danger, preventing it would have been prioritized over any of the intelligence sources, and that is why a limited group was involved in discussions. Missing from them were a chief of military intelligence and the commander of the Air Force. But on the flip side, I will go ahead and say, I'm not saying this is the case, but if you were to have a limited group involved in intelligence discussions, that also would just as well be, it would have been that would have been reason to, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, to be suspicious that possibly that it was just a matter of that this was a decision made. I mean, especially considering they're protecting sources. What source? Are you saying there was literally some sort of, like, because obviously we don't know what the source is. Like, are you talking about, was this like a Hamas individual inside of it? Do you just not want to release that information? Do you just choose to just ignore that? Is that why you chose such a limited group to be involved in the discussions? So that way you could make this executive decision to just let it go? I don't know. I have no idea. But we're just supposed to take their word that, if there was any danger, they would have done otherwise. And that's why there's such a small group. Preventing would have. All right. Well, summary of the Southern Command's consultations was delivered to Chief of IDF Operations General Oded Basiak, who conducted a number of telephone calls. After consulting the deputy head of Shin Bet, commander of the Southern Command, operation commander, and the intelligence research department chief, there are three possible scenarios, he wrote. Hamas drill increased preparedness to defend against an Israeli attack. Preparations for an operation against Israel in the coming orders, including incursion from the sea or a strike on the gas rig, breaching the border, abduction, shooting attack, rocket attack, and incursion from the air. So this is after their consultation. These are all the possible things they said that could be a result of the supposed intel they had. And yet nothing was done about it. He ordered a number of actions, including a review of Israel's aerial defenses around the gas rig. But although he understood that there was a risk of a rocket strike, abduction, or an unusual terror attack, the conclusion was that there must be careful preparation to protect sensitive sources and coordinate actions with military intelligence. Later review showed the intelligence force's operational brigade was not tapped about the possible deployment of forces along the border in the overnight hours, and there's ongoing debate about the responsibility for that. Chief of Staff, who held consultations with Bastiak and Finkelman at 4 a.m., ordered an aerial intelligence flight and said that if Hamas was conducting a drill, this would be an opportunity to gather information. Despite all the information that was gathered, Item 8 in the summary said that barring significant developments, further consultations will be held in the morning. His office summoned some senior commanders for 8:30 a.m. All right. Well, this is starting to look more and more kind of like the first Trump assassination attempt, where you're like, well, look at all these people who knew about this guy. How does that like? So like they had meetings at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 8 a.m. Or not 8. Never mind. That's Item 8. But my point, they were literally monitoring the situation as it was going on essentially throughout. So, all right. The IDF said in response to this report, the details in it are not from the official IDF probe. The IDF will complete its inquiries into the October 7th attack or massacre in the coming weeks and will present their findings to the public. Which I will say, this seems to be, I mean, we're getting more news like this right now, and coming out, and this seems to be one of the positive results of the peace deal or whatever, the ceasefire right now, that we're getting a chance to settle down, reevaluate information, and be able to. It's kind of like when this first popped off, like immediately everyone was like, oh, there's definitely people who are who have have answers to need to give answers for October 7th. But you know what, we'll deal with right now. We're dealing with a big old war with the Palestine, so like. We'll hold that off till until hostilities are over. Well, hostilities are over, so now it's time to start looking into that shit, or at least they're supposed to be. I mean, maybe they'll pick back up again if this gets too dicey, but I mean, this is kind of like the time to like kind of reflect, and the more dicey this gets for them, I mean, yeah, it might be this like, oh well, shit, when you start back up hostilities to kind of. But on the flip side, it also makes it so if you start back up hostilities, it's going to look a lot fucking worse for you from the outside looking in. So. Make your choice here. Yeah, you might be able to like internally be like, oh, distract your people. Like, oh, we're starting up again. Forget about all the other shit. But I don't know. It might just be that the cat's out of the bag at that point. I'm not sure. All right, let's check in the chat. See what you guys have to say. See if there's anything right. I think it was Alex Jones was talking about Black Ops group that have dead man switch orders that might activate a strip. What the fuck is that going to do? What are you talking about? I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what the hell that has to do with anything. These fuckers were being warned for weeks that an attack was coming by other countries, including the U.S. They absolutely let it go. That's from Doctori420. That's kind of generally where I'm at too. What the hell took them so long to respond when the attack happened? Yes, which I just laid out there, how they're literally doing like ongoing consultations before the attack had even gone, like within like every couple hours or so to check on the situation when there wasn't even a situation yet. So they're literally monitoring it prior to it even happening. And still, even then it took so long to respond. Yeah. All right. Let's pop back in. This was, I do want to give a little shout out. This was from Boltzmann Booty that I found this. So I was following his account. It said IDF intelligence was just watching Hamas prepare a major attack on the night before 10/7. But during their multiple discussions about this activity, they explicitly decided not to warn the Nova Festival or do anything about it to protect sources. That's Boltzmann Booty. Highly recommend following him because he has good stuff like this. It's a lot of this stuff that I'm aware of because of him. And here's another one. This is another commentary from him. Just a little reminder. The IDF issued the permit for the extending the Nova Festival to October 7th on the same day Hamas internally confirmed they would be attacking Israel on October 7th. Which I think he pulled this from somewhere else. So, yeah. I think it's a different article. But either way, I mean, another little factoid to add to this. So... It says right here, the episode also showed secret documents, including the operations order signed by the guests on October 5th, 2023, which set the date for the attack at 6:30 a.m. on October 7th, 2 days before the operation. It included identifying major Israel military bases to attack, such as Yiftach, Nahal Oz, and Kisufim. So I guess you're saying that Hamas decided upon this on October 5th, 2023. October 5th, 2023. And they're saying that's also when they obtained the what am I thinking of? The permit, for the festival. So real quick, I want to look at something. What was the date of October 7th? It was okay, so it's 2 days before October 7th. It's like, it's 2025. I was just trying to figure out the dates right now. But, okay, well, it's 2 days before. I don't think I'd really say that this is like really that damning or anything. This is 2 days prior. So it just so happens that 2 days prior to the festival, they got their permit, and then 2 days prior to the attack, that's when Hamas decided to do it. I mean, I don't know if this was like 8 months prior and it was the exact day, it might be something, but like 2 days prior is just kind of like the time that would make sense, I guess. Although it does seem like if you were to plan a rave, that you would get the permit 2 days prior. That sounds goofy as fuck. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of weird other system when it comes to permits in Israel. But now that I'm thinking about this more, I'm like, you'd think you'd have this permit ready to go like probably months in advance. I mean, the Hamas thing makes sense. Like, yeah, if you're gonna, have seal the deal on when the date of a super duper attack is happening, it would likely be that when it's like set in stone, it would probably be a couple days prior, because you would want to keep that information fluid and able to change as you go, and not till right before when you really set in. But planning an event, a rave with, what was it, at least dozens of people, at least, if not hundreds, Probably hundreds if I had to guess. So you just 2 days before, just getting the permit, just willy nilly. Who knows? You could have not gotten the permit and been fucked, and now you just got to reimburse all these people. I don't know. So that strikes me as bizarre. All right, let's. Z-Rock says, "Am I crazy, or were there videos of Israel shooting their own people from the air on October 7th?" You know what? That I vaguely recall maybe there being something like that. I don't know if that's legit or not, but that is something I vaguely recall. So I know that could be a thing. All right, let's pop back into here, and then here is another one. This is the last thing on Israel, I promise. As I was looking into this, which god dang these Haaretz is god awful for ads, but as I was getting ready for this, and I posted a promo, one of you guys actually brought my attention to crazy news, which ties into what we were talking about since we were just talking about October 7th. Israeli Knesset passes bill criminalizing denial of October 7th events. So yes, that's where we're at in Israel right now. Now they are, which, once again, with the timing of this is suspect, because remember how we were talking about before, how like it seemed to be this convenient, we can't do investigations or start looking into who's responsible or what really happened right now, on October 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever, because, we're in the middle of war right now and we got all these crazy things going on. We can't be bogged down with that stuff. We'll deal with that when things settle down. Well, things have settled down, and now they're making it illegal to look into it. This is what it looks like from the outside looking in. That like, now the bill has come due. Oh, nope, that's illegal. Can't do that. All right. The Israeli Knesset approved a law prohibiting the denial of events on October 7th on Tuesday. This is actually why I was a little bit late today, because I was having to look through this, find these articles. I was basically verifying, because one of you guys in my promo post put a thing, put a little post in there, like a little picture about this, and I thought maybe it was like satire or something, so I had to look it up and find an article. Nope, it's legit. They made it illegal. According to the bill, anyone who publicly denies the events of October 7th, 2023 will face up to 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison if they publicly deny the events of October 7, 2023. Additionally, indictments on this law will require either the Attorney General's direct filing or their consent, which I guess that probably makes it a little bit better that you would need the Attorney General. But I don't know this Attorney General, but judging by my impression of the Knesset, who was a fucking couple months ago, literally having legitimate actual in crazy arguments, in their halls of power about whether they can rape their prisoners or not. So excuse me if maybe this Attorney General's direct filing or their consent is making this the thing that breaks is really what gets it done. If that's really going to make me feel better about that, not so much. I would assume it probably reduces the amount, but I have a feeling there's also a good chance that little provisionment or whatever the word is I'm looking for is may just be like a rubber stamp, and just that it just gets passed either way. But anyways, the biggest denier of the October 7th massacre is the Israeli government itself. October 7th was shocking enough. Why would Israelis embellish the tragedy? I don't know why those are there, and they look like they're links to other. I think those are links to other articles, but either way, 16 members of Knesset supported the proposal with no oppositions or abstentions recorded. The bill was submitted by MK Oded Forer of the right-wing party Yisrael Betinu, translated to Israel Our Home, along with other MKs, with no oppositions or abstentions recorded. Wow. I don't really completely understand the specifics of how these things work. So they had 60 members to support it, and there's no oppositions or abstentions. So I think they have somewhere in the realm of 120 people in the Knesset, if I understand correctly. So I'm assuming 60 people proposed it, but then I guess there are people who just maybe just went present, and the rest there was no oppositions. Because I know you can vote present, I think, in Congress and stuff. So maybe they have a similar thing. So 16 people said yay, and then the rest of everyone just said nothing, basically, or a present, but no one opposed it, I guess. I don't know. The explanatory notes accompanying the bill wrote, as learned from the phenomenon of Holocaust denial, obviously they're going to play off that, such lies can spread quickly and undermine efforts to establish historical proof. Moreover, denying the massacre is sometimes part of an attempt to shield the perpetrators and express support for them. To combat the denial of the massacre and prevent its proliferation both in Israel and abroad, it is proposed to establish a new criminal offense modeled on the prohibition of Holocaust denial found in Israeli law, the note said. And so now it looks like you can't question the Holocaust or October 7th. They are on the same page, legally speaking. During the discussion surrounding the bill, it was agreed that the events, I think sometimes they translate over from Hebrew, it gets lost, but during the discussion surrounding the bill, it was agreed that the events, whose denial will be prohibited will be defined in broad strokes without detailing specific actions. The events whose denial will be prohibited will be defined in broad strokes. Well, that's even worse. So it sounds like they're not even being specific here. Because, you would think if you were going to make a historical event illegal to deny, what does denying even constitute? You would need to, at that point, come up with some sort of legally set in, these are the specific tenets of this historical event to which you cannot question. It couldn't just be the event overall. The idea that you would have such a vague law is just insane. Because, there's going to be... Because you could literally end up with a situation to where someone ends up going to jail for 5 years of something that's vigorously debated within the halls of academia. But just because of the fact that for some reason it was, in the ins and outs of some law, that you aren't allowed to say X thing, or that's even sort of remotely, associated with it. But, serious people have these sort of, historical discussions. It's not even in a trying to be offensive or anything, just completely, it could be the difference between, people make the joke all the time. I don't think 6 million people died. I think it was 5,999,999. And then you're like, oh, what are you, a Holocaust denier now? It's kind of the same idea. If you're going, really you shouldn't have any fucking laws like this in the first place. But if you're going to, holy fuck, you need to not be vague. Holy fucking fuck, you can't be vague. But anyways, additionally, references to downplaying the scale of the massacre were removed, following the inclusion of language emphasizing the massacre was both organized and intentional to the bill. Okay. All right. But yeah, so references to downplaying the scale were removed. So I guess they removed within the bill references about downplaying it. So I guess it's debatable whether that's going to be illegal or not, because it just seems... obviously, this is just a few paragraphs. It just seems incredibly vague. So, all right, let's pop back in chat, see what you guys have to say. These fuckers. All right, see opioid in the chat, and since this is a morning dump, let me tell you, when I say you will pass a football on opioids, football will slowly and very painfully work its way out of your ass. I never had that problem. I know what you're talking about. People, I don't recall. Maybe I did, and I just never even really thought anything of it, but I don't recall ever being constipated. If that's what you're getting at there, not a thing I recall. But I guess so. I've heard a lot of people have that issue, but I don't know. I've always had very soft poopies. I don't know what to tell you. This law makes me think they actually attacked their own people so they could finish off Gaza. Just kidding. I thought that from day one, right? Yes, and to butt fuck the prisoners, win-win. Yes, exactly. This was all just a ploy to butt fuck, fucking cute little Palestinians. Man, I really want to fuck this prisoner, but let me go ask my rabbi about it first, says Z-Man. All right, guys, let's get into some more content. We have recently Pete Hegseth has been confirmed as SecDef. I'm not going to play this video, but this is from Liam McCollum. We've showed this on the show before. This is just him talking about his support of Defend the Guard, which, because this, for those who aren't aware, Hegseth used to be a Fox announcer guy. So, this is a positive. This looks good. I will say, I am fully aware of to what degree Pete seems to be a bit of a Ziocuck, and to what degree he has, gone on about being Christian Zionist and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I do think he will follow Trump's lead, and it does seem to be... there are things that seem to imply that he's a little bit more forward thinking when it comes to war stuff. Obviously, he'll probably cave when it comes to questions of Israel, but this does seem to be overall a move in the right direction, I think. But the Defend the Guard, for those who aren't aware, that is the legislation that been going around to different states. I believe it's in act in a lot of states already, but the idea is that it would allow the state to essentially make it so that the federal government cannot take their National Guard people without a declaration of war. which is what they're supposed to be doing anyways. So, because for those who aren't aware, the way it works when it comes to, obviously, the Department of Defense falls under the federal government, and that is usually going to be like your active duty guys. Also, reserves falls into the federal government, but the National Guard falls under, so you have like the Army Guard, the Air Force Guard, you got Navy Guard, I think, Marine Guard, whatever. Now, those guys, they are assigned to their each individual state. Technically, they answer to their governors, not to the president. But now what happens is when they get deployed, essentially the governor is essentially kind of granting over his platoon, his guard. Because the idea is that, they're essentially supposed to be kind of like our militia. They fucking aren't. They're not our militia. When you ever hear some lefty talking about like, oh, well, that's what the National Guard... No, they're not. That's not a fucking militia. It's a bunch of fucking tax leeches. That's all that is. But either way, I think these tax leeches shouldn't have to be going to war, and I think the governor, I think it's great legislation to essentially, prevent state or give states more power to be able to say, no, you're not taking our National Guard guys, because if you want them to be a militia, then they really actually do need to be in reality answerable to their governor and not just some sort of de facto federal government tool. That's how you actually get a guard that is something closer to a militia, to where they are doing things like actually being helpful when you're dealing with things like, I don't know, wildfires in California or hurricanes in Florida or whatever. It's like you would think, instead of having your guard set up as if it was just essentially like a carbon copy of some sort of reserve or active duty unit, that they would be something apart, something that was more customized for each state and ready to assist in whatever needs they have, as opposed to being at bay to go to war. That should be a last minute thing. That's not what the Guard is supposed to be for. They are literally supposed to be, answer to the governor. So yeah, I do think in the future that this would be great if we can get this stuff pushed through, and hopefully maybe Hegseth is a step in that right direction. I'm definitely cautious. I don't even know if I'd say cautiously optimistic about this, but I'm definitely cautious. I'm like a 5 out of 5, 6 out of 10, somewhere in that realm with Pete Hegseth. I think it's a step in the right direction. A little iffy, but it is what it is. The militia is a citizen that can help fight for the country. It's pretty much everybody. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Here is breaking. Stargate, a $500 billion AI project unveiled by Donald Trump, will exclusively and only serve OpenAI, per the Financial Times. Now, I'll be honest, I don't even really know what the fuck that means. Because I know we have the Stargate project, that $500 billion AI project. I just assumed it was already basically an OpenAI thing, because I know it was that Sam Altman, I think is his name, the guy who runs the OpenAI. He's the one doing that. So I just assumed it already was just like OpenAI, and OpenAI was like the backbone of whatever the Stargate thing is. I don't really know enough about tech stuff, but I guess not. So I guess now I was already assuming that was the case, but now I guess that is the case. So that is essentially it's a AI monopoly in that sense. But I don't know. By the way, this is something I do want to dig into a little bit more. Stargate and Ellison and Altman. This is a realm I don't know a ton about, and it seems to be getting more and more important. Especially in my realm. So I think maybe tomorrow we'll probably cover either Altman or Ellison or Stargate or Oracle or some combination of those things, because they kind of all tie into each other. But with that, if you guys know of any articles, threads, anything like that, out there, definitely send that to me. That'll be what I can use to dig through that. But yeah, I guess that's the case. That's what's going on with that. Here is Sam Altman saying advancing AI may require changes to the social contract. So let's hear what he has to say about that. This fucking little weirdo.
I still expect, although I don't know what, and this is over a long period of time. This is not like next year or, the year after, that kind of thing. But over a long period of time, I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be. I'm not a believer that there won't be any jobs. I think we always find new things to do. But I do think like the whole structure of society itself will, be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
Yeah, so we're changing the social contract. Although I will say, I don't know. I guess it depends what you mean by social contract. Do you mean literally like the social contract, the one that, us libertarian types go, I didn't sign fucking shit? Or are you just mean just kind of like the general, pragmatic, I don't know, what's the word? Politeness is, I guess, what's the word we're looking for? Decor or whatever that you operate out in the world, the AI will, create some sort of shifts to that to where, it causes us to react a little bit differently. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see how it would, influence the structure of society. I know a lot of people look for this guy to be the baddie. And, I think he probably is the baddie if I had to guess, but this little bit, by itself, a lot of people have been going with it. I don't know. I mean, maybe if I pulled out the longer speech and went to the context, maybe it is straight up bad, but on its face, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, there's all sorts of technological things out there that have caused great changes to society. The internet being one of them. So I don't know. Maybe the AI will act in that way, or maybe it will not. I mean, I'll be honest. AI I've been digging it lately. It's literally all for me functionally, and I feel like this is probably one of the better ways to understand something like AI, at least from a ground level. Is what do retards like me like? When did we start using AI? And I've just now started using it, and it's really all just for rote, time bullshit stuff that I really don't need to spend the time. I shouldn't spend the time doing. Like, for example, or other things. Like, thumbnails. Like this thumbnail right now was made by AI, which is great. That's super helpful. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to get works of art in my opinion, but I can get something pretty good, and I can get a custom one every single day. And as long as I have some sort of good prompt, something close. I also use it to generate hashtags. So because it has a good idea of hey, what are the most likely things that hashtags that will draw attention to this thing, given the topics you're covering today. I use it to generate podcast descriptions because stuff that's and they can add little flowery language. But when it comes to specific, I would never use it to write a paper or anything but little things that are just, kind of busy work. That's where it's at now. That is the degree to where it's changed. It's not revolutionized my life. It's made things slightly easier. That's all it is at this point. Will it be more in the future? I guess we'll see. All right, just in. This is from yesterday at 4 p.m. We've talked about this before, so I guess it's just now happening. But this is something that's been working its way through the ether for a little bit. Marco Rubio freezes all U.S. foreign aid except for Israel and Egypt. For some reason, when I first started, I was thinking it was Israel, Egypt, and Ukraine for some reason. With the Egypt thing, but so it's cool. We're not saying anything to Ukraine. When this first started, I believe it was I want to say he signed an executive order saying no more foreign aid for 90 days, like a 90-day freeze or something. And it just said initially all of them, and then when you look into your the fine print, you're except for Israel. And I guess then that became Egypt later. The reason why, for those who aren't aware, when it comes to Egypt is contingent on Israel. So that's why. I mean, even literally right below here, Michael Scaglione. Why Egypt, you might ask? Well, it's not really for Egypt. It's for Israel. As part of the 1979 peace treaty, America essentially guaranteed Egypt foreign aid as a bribe so they would stop going to war against Israel. So the reason why... So literally, you may as well just say that they froze all foreign aid except for Israel. And then I guess the other countries that they're paying not to attack Israel. So Israel. So that's a... I mean, I guess I'm happy we're not saying forward aid elsewhere, but man, what a look. What a fucking look. All right. Let's get to this is the last thing we're going to go for. I'm going to do a little bit of touch on some Yeakey stuff. But this is from, oh crap, I accidentally exited out of it. So give me a second. I got to bring back the tab. I accidentally exited out. Here we go. Let me look at the chat real quick while I'm waiting. Israel can suck a dick. Someone said AI is a tool. I use AI to do research. Yeah, a lot of people use it for that. I know Top does it a lot. I should probably start using that more. If I'm podcasting, that way you can type if there's something somebody said, you're oh shit, I can look. That way you at least have a basics. I don't know. But yeah, there's all right. AI is a tool. Yeah, I forget which AI Mystic Mark uses to generate songs, but you can make some bangers with AI. Okay. I've heard people say, I don't know. I've never heard a AI song I've been impressed with. I've had people send them to me before, in comments, and I'm I don't care. All right, here is this is the one Doctori 420 sent over to us. It said, woman charged with discharging firearm during assault of U.S. Border Patrol agent. All right, okie dokie. Let me see. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Vermont stated that Teresa Youngblood, 21, and who is believed to be from Washington State, has been charged by criminal complaint with one count of using a deadly weapon while assaulting a U.S. Border Patrol agent and one count of using and discharging a firearm in relation to that assault. Her initial court appearance has not yet been scheduled. According to the charging affidavit, during the afternoon of January 20th, 2025, a U.S. Border Patrol agent initiated a traffic stop of a Prius at Interstate 91 in Coventry, Vermont. The car was occupied by Youngblood and a man who was a citizen of Germany and whose immigration status is in question. Okay, I was a little concerned. What the fuck did you send this from me for, Dr. Tori? But now I think I might see where you're going with. Youngblood and her companion had come to the attention of law enforcement a few days earlier when a hotel employee in Lyndonville expressed concern about them being dressed in tactical clothing and protective gear while also being armed. Law enforcement also observed the couple in the Prius earlier on January 20th at a Walmart parking lot in Newport, Vermont. At that time, the German man was seen wrapping unidentifiable objects with aluminum foil while seated in the vehicle. Okay, aluminum foil. I mean, that sounds like drugs, but I don't. I mean, I guess it could be other things. Okay, this is weird. I'm getting very much Strassmeyer vibes, although I could be wrong. For those who aren't aware, Strassmeyer was here illegally. For those who are aware of the OKC bombing lore, that fucking Fed. He was here legally for sure. But they weird how they never went after it. Anytime anything became of it, seemed to be just kind of I don't know. I think he even ended up got a license at one point. Like he was somehow getting the hookup. But anyways, let me see. According to the affidavit, just stop firing gun. All right, here we go. According to the affidavit, during the January 20th vehicle stop, both Youngblood and her companion were armed. During the stop, Youngblood fired a handgun without warning toward at least one of the Border Patrol agents while outside the vehicle. Her German companion also tried to draw a firearm. At least one Border Patrol agent fired his service weapon. The exchange of gunfire resulted in Border Patrol agent David Mayland sustaining fatal injuries. Youngblood and her companion were also shot. The German man was pronounced dead at the scene, and Youngblood was taken to the hospital for medical care. The investigation into this incident is ongoing. It's being led by the FBI with substantial assistance from the Vermont State Police and the ATF, in coordination with Homeland Security, U.S. Border Patrol, the Newport, Vermont Police Department, and Orleans County Sheriff's. Man, that's a lot of agencies. It's weird. Acting, I guess it is like a violent event with an illegal immigrant, so I guess it would make sense to be multiple. Acting U.S. Attorney Michael P. Drescher stated the events linked to the prosecution tragically demonstrate how the men and women of law enforcement regularly put their lives on the line as they try to keep our communities and our country safe. The U.S. Attorney's Office is deeply grateful for those with the courage to do such dangerous work. We intend to honor them in the memory of Border Patrol Agent Maland by performing our prosecutorial duties so that justice may be done. Drescher also commended the investigative collaboration demonstrated by the FBI, the Vermont Police, ATF, and the other agents. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is yada, yada, yada. A lot of this is yada, yada, yada. We appreciate this is all. Okay, this is all bluster at the end. The U.S. Emphasized the complaint contains allegations that Youngblood is presumed innocent until. Okay, all right. She faces 10 years. The actual. All right, whatever. There's nothing else. Nothing else interesting there. It's more just yada yada yada. This guy was so special. All the the kind of disclaimer bullshit that cop disclaimer nonsense. Okay. So yeah. Well, that's something. I mean, obviously, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, so you have some broad and her German dude, and they get stopped by cops and shoot them up. And yeah, this is weird. This is a weird story. All right, maybe more will come of this in the future. If it does, definitely let us know. All right, guys, let's cover. I told you guys yesterday we'd cover Yeakey, but today we're going to do that. We're going to cover the Yeakey story. Like I said, I wanted to yesterday because I was going on with Jeremy Ryan Slate. I did go on a show yesterday. It was fun. I think it'll be out next week, so you can keep an eye out for that. But it was fun. We had a good time. We on the show yesterday, we covered the Trenadu story, although we just covered some random article from KennethTrenadu.com. Didn't really have a ton to do with Kenneth Trenadu's death, but we kind of learned a little bit about PatCon together. But I had another one lined up, a thread to cover Yeakey. So I figured, whatever, I figured I'd throw it in at the end today as something to kind of breeze over, kind of brush up my knowledge. And I mean, who knows? Maybe there's people out there that this is new for you guys as well. All right. Today is a 20, real quick. Hey guys, I got to mute this real quick. I'm going to call. I got to answer this real quick. All right, sorry guys. That was just my wife. She's saying, "Why aren't you answering me?" I'm like, apparently she sent me a bunch of messages, but I didn't get any fucking didn't get any notifications. Sorry guys. Sorry for there. Figured I could get away with a 5-second break about an hour and a half deep into a stream. We'll get away with it. But for anyone out there, I'm sorry. Hopefully you had enough common sense if you're listening on audio to just fast forward real quick. But yeah, he said they found bomb material and guns. I did not see that. I didn't. I mean, maybe I skimmed over that? Did I say that? Did I really miss that? Oh fuck. Did I accidentally skim over, miss that point? Well, maybe if that's the point, if they found bomb material, maybe that was the part I yada over. I tried to skim through it and make sure there wasn't anything in there, but that just kind of seemed like police jargon at the end and mostly disclaimer bullshit. So I don't know. Feds found half a gun. What the fuck? Okay, all right. I'm gonna go back to that real quick and take a peek at that because I swear I don't remember seeing bomb stuff. So actually, let me do this. Sorry, guys. It's awful. All right, let me peek back in here. Share this time. Here we go. Did I actually just show you guys my history? I think I did. Oh well. Oh no, I didn't because I had history up because I was trying to find the page I was just up. Look, I don't watch porn on here, so you guys are fine. I just thought it was funny. You guys may have seen my history a second ago. Oh no, it's missing from the article. I'm checking the archive. There's a part missing. Oh, okay, cool. I'm not retarded. All right, cool. I brought it back up thinking I was wrong. It's missing from the article. Okay, that's interesting though. That it's missing from the article. Huh? Yeah. That is very interesting. That now that's not in there. That does make it glow a little bit brighter. I mean, I guess it could be bad information. They just pulled it out. I don't know. All right, that's weird. If you find more on that, let me know. I will definitely look into that. All right, let's get back into here. Today, okay, this was back on the 27th anniversary that I wrote this. So I just put today's the 27th anniversary. Today's not, obviously. His killers never met justice. He was one of the first responders to the Oklahoma City bombing, entering the building within mere minutes of the blast and saving over 3 lives before falling 2 floors and becoming injured himself. His then ex-wife and mother of his two little girls, Tanya Yeakey, picked him up from the hospital. The first thing he told her echoes in the head of most who are already familiar with his story. Tanya, it's not what they're saying it is. They're not telling the truth. And here's an excerpt from the CNN article. It says, on the day of the bombing, Tanya said she got a phone call. It was someone at Presbyterian Hospital telling her Terry was there. His back was injured when he fell while carrying Randy Ledger, and now Terry needed someone to pick him up. So Tanya picked him up from the hospital. In the car, she says he started to cry. Tanya, it's not what they're saying it is. They're not telling the truth. They're lying about what's going on down there. About a year later, his body was found in a field near El Reno. His wrists and throat were cut repeatedly. Grass and dirt were in the wounds. Rope burns and cuff bruises on the feet and wrists, and a bullet had gone through his head. His car was about a mile away, covered in blood. It was ruled a suicide almost immediately. On the mile thing, I just want to let you guys know this is because it was in kind of in a field somewhere. There are differing estimates. The lowest you see is half a mile. The highest you see is a mile and a half. I tend to lean towards the mile and a half ones. The half mile ones seem to be more quote unquote official suspect type narrative. And then the mile and a half I seem to see that estimate typically more among the researchers that I find to be more valuable. So I don't know where they're finding that specific one, but I'm just throwing that out there. So even if you take a half mile though, it's still bullshit, so it doesn't make it better. It almost feels like the half mile was we'll say half mile so it sounds better. Maybe there's some sort of outside possibility someone could do all this and then get a half mile from their car. Which I don't know if I mentioned here. His car was covered in blood. So, his car was over a mile away, covered in blood. So, so somehow his car covered in blood, and his body is over a mile away. So somehow his body got away from there, and then he shot himself in the field, even though it was covered in blood. So, yeah. And if you want to add to this, I don't think I put this in this thread. He did have what's it called? Sickle cell anemia, I think, which caused him to bleed more. So. This guy, there's basically no medical way. It's basically medically impossible that this guy could cut himself up, cover himself in blood in the car. This isn't in the thread, but it's I believe in the Hoffman article, it's estimated about 2 pints of blood, which is almost death level. That's probably losing consciousness at least level. And now this guy, we're to believe this guy who's anemic somehow did all that damage in the car and then somehow went at the lowest level a half a mile through rough terrain to go blow his brains out in the middle of a field somewhere. Seems unlikely. No autopsy was performed. There was no suicide note. If ballistics were performed, we'll likely never know. Seems convenient, considering Ramona McDonald claimed Terry was going to a meeting and made the choice to not bring a service weapon, likely afraid of being suicided. And here's an excerpt confirming that. So he says the precise location where Yeakey's body was found has never been publicly disclosed, and basic information about the death scene is unclear. The police department declined multiple requests to release its full investigative report on the case. The redacted 2-page report released by OCPD in response to CNN's records request does not say whether a gun was found at the scene, much less what kind of gun killed Yeakey or whether it was subject to fingerprinting or ballistic tests. Keep in mind, this is a cop. So this is a cop that died, and they don't seem to give a shit. The last day McDonald saw Yeakey, she says, they sat down and had coffee together. She was talking about an appointment. From his description of the men he was supposed to meet, she believed they were the same 2 men who'd been at her house. The men from the task force seemed keenly interested in the evidence about the bombing. They wanted Terry to bring what he gathered, pictures, videos, documents. Yeakey seemed conflicted about whether to go meet these men. He sensed danger, and these misgivings led him to take a strange precaution. McDonald said Yeakey went to the meeting unarmed so no one could use his own gun against him. And in this tweet, he said, what did he know? Did he see a sting gone wrong, or something more sinister? Assuming the veracity of this letter from Terry to Ramona, it seems he may have picked up on something in that spectrum of options. Now, this is a commonly referred to source in this case when it comes to Yeakey. This is the Ramona letter. It's much longer than this. This is just an excerpt from it. I recommend you guys go check it out on your own. But here's an excerpt from it. Dear Ramona, I hope that whatever you hear now and in the future will not change your opinions about myself or others with the Oklahoma City Police Department. Although some of the things I'm about to tell you about is very disturbing. I don't know if you recall everything that happened that morning or not, so I'm not sure if you know what I'm referring to. The man that you and I were talking about in the pictures I have made the mistake of asking too many questions as to his role in the bombing and was told to back off. I was told by several officers he was an ATF agent who was overseeing the bombing plot, and at the time the photos were taken, he was calling in his report of what had just went down. I think my days as a police officer are numbered because of the way my supervisors are acting, and there's a lot of secrets floating around about my mental state of mind. I think they are going to write me up because of my ex-wife and a VPO, which is literally exactly what happened, by the way. According to his sister, LaShawn Hargrove, Terry said he saw evidence of explosives blowing out as opposed to blowing in, which would run contrary to the official narrative of the Ryder truck bomb being the only explosive set off. And here's an excerpt from the CNN article again. First part, Terry Yeakey believes some government employees had lied about their whereabouts during the bombing. Associates said Yeakey was surprised to see so many federal agents apparently dressed in riot gear on the scene moments after the blast, and he had questions about the source of the explosion. According to his sister LaShawn Hargrove, you know how they said the truck bomb blew in? He saw evidence of blowing out, or signs of a blast that appeared to have come from inside the building. And here's a picture of his sister LaShawn. All right, what could account for this? Once again, I see a range of possibilities. Bombing rescue efforts were called off multiple times that day for bomb scares. It is presumed by many this was due to the ATF improperly storing munitions in the building. Did some of those munitions explode? And here's a photo, which this may have been a CNN article, or not, or maybe I got this from somebody else. Actually, I think I actually got this from Bonghorn Leghorn, if I remember correctly. I believe this is in the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. So I believe this is something they have literally at the memorial. And this is a photo of the bomb squad and the sheriff. It says, bomb squad technicians load the box containing an unarmed tow missile, an anti-tank weapon, into an Oklahoma City sheriff's disposal so it can be taken off-site. Photo courtesy of Oklahoma City. And this isn't the only time it's happened. It's happened multiple times throughout it. I've talked about this extensively. On the more extreme range, it could imply planted explosives. This is speculation, but it's not without merit. Did Ruth Schwab and Jane Graham witness a team planting explosives in the building? Did he discover unexploded ordnance or notice an odd explosion pattern in the wreckage? And here I just have an affidavit from Jane Graham. Ruth Schwab backs it up as well, and I believe she has her own affidavit separate. But here, this is just a Jane Graham one of her essentially seeing what looked like people. I'll read the bottom one. Let's go and read this. So, affidavit of Jane Graham. I contacted the FBI first by phone, then by letter to inform them of 3 men who I saw on the second level of the parking garage the week before. The second level of the parking garage is that level which is directly below the street level and customer parking. These 3 men were standing just west of the double doors leading to the elevator, behind an older station wagon parked on the south side. They had a set of plans which appeared to be of the Murrah building. The reason I assumed the plans were the murder building is they were obviously disagreeing on something and pointing to areas in the garage. 2 of the men were approximately 5'8", and 1 man 6'1" or 6'2". 2 men had brown hair. The tallest had very dark hair, almost black, and a mustache. He was wearing black cowboy boots, jean and jacket, and a cowboy hat. His hair was collar length. The other 2 men wore jeans. One had a brown plaid shirt, sleeve shirt, and obviously lifted weights. First, I thought as I studied them, they were with the phone company because I saw what looked like telephone wiring, cream color but short pieces. He also had a paper bag with something in it. And I think there's more to this. I don't think I put the whole affidavit. I believe she said something like they saw it look like blocks, but you see the wiring. And the same thing with Ruth Schwab. So yeah, that's the extent of that thread. So kind of just a quick breakdown of the Yeakey story and the implications of it broadly. But yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here. So let's roll the chat. See if there's anything else. Anything in there? See if there's anything worth. Border shooting guy info. Oh, you sent more. Okay, maybe we'll have to go back over that tomorrow because I told my wife I'd call her back. But yeah, let me see. Let me take a peek at it real quick. I think we got actually. You sent over a couple, didn't you? Huh? All right. Jesus Christ. Here we go. Yeah, this is a goofy looking bitch. All right. Well, I think we'll probably cover some of that tomorrow, Doctor. I have those articles saved. We'll probably cover those tomorrow. Yeah, so I'm just scrolling through. No mention of the bomb material, so that's maybe from another case. Okay, well, maybe we won't cover it. It sounded like you're saying that maybe you dug into it and there wasn't. I'll look over those real quick. Good show, Jose, from Original Pistolero. Thanks, bud. Yeah, so I suspended from... You're suspended from Twitter? I'm sorry, Dr. That is a bummer. It happens to the best of us. Yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here, guys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you are listening to this on one of the RSS feeds on a podcatcher, then make sure you go up there and leave a review. Do the 5-star review, please. Ideally, that would be the best, the bestie best. If you want to support what I'm doing over here, you can do that at patreon.com/nowayjose2020 as well. The lowest level is $2. That gives you early access to the episode, the weekly episodes I do, like the topic-driven ones. For example, I just had the Jeremy Ryan Slate episode where I had him on talking about Rome. That just dropped yesterday. If you've been a patron, it would have been out for a week before that. Tomorrow, I'm doing a Vegas episode that will be behind the paywall for about a week. You also can be a talking head on me and Austin's Already Dead show, our live show we do on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So on the second half of the show, we do call-ins, and if you're a patron, you can do a video call-in. And then also, I have an ad-free RSS feed that you can get by being a patron. Just a link up top. You send that to your podcatcher, I think somewhere, and I think somehow you get a free ad-free RSS feed, which is weird. But yeah, the highest level is my sponsor. Read them off every episode. My co-host on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad, at Abrogate D's at ZOVERICK at _Infinite Zeal. Then Tim Tuttle is at Jolly on Gleepold. Then Will Bell is Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. Then big fan of the show, Torrin May. And then at INWARD Lover, at Inward Lover, because we all should learn to look a little bit inward and learn to love ourselves, and we should all be inward lovers. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment. If you're on Twitter, if you're someone who hangs out on that place, make sure to give me a follow over at Tower Gang Jose. There you can tag me in content, and I will bring it up in the show. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We are out of here. Thanks, Jose from Hey Say What's Now. Bye, everybody from Z-Man. See ya later, Tards. Good job. Thank you. We are out of here. Great show from Z-Man. Bye-bye. Deuces.